Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers classic, I Need to Know. This is going back to their second album. It is full of Rolling Stones and Chuck Berry references, influences. And a few years ago I posted a lesson, something like 10 classic rock licks using the Keith Richards riff. I will link that up here if you want to check it out after this lesson. And there was an oversight in that, which was I didn't include this song because it couldn't have been more out of the Keith Richards playbook. Two of the Heartbreakers' biggest influences, again, Stones and Chuck. So the rhythm part is Keith, the solo is Chuck, and that's what we're going to look at today. So the main lick, song is in E. You're going to be using pretty much strictly those A-shape bar chords. So fifth string root bar chord up here at the 7th fret is an E. And as I've said in other lessons, I like to use the pinky for this chord, as Eric Clapton does. You get better leverage than this, which hurts your wrist. Check it out, try the pinky. There's even people who can sort of lay their ring finger on the pinky and get extra leverage. I don't do that, but that's the chord. That's the shape we're going to use, okay? And it extends into the I need to know part, was just I need to know, I need to know. If you think you're going to leave, you better say so. I need to know. So that same shape, E, D, C, is going to be in the chorus. The main lick, which is the Keith Richards lick, is a 1-4. And I've shown you in other lessons the Keith lick, if you played it in the first position, would be an A chord to a D chord. Keith plays it all over the neck. Check out a bunch of my Stones lessons, you'll see that coming up over and over again. So, Tom and Mike Campbell, the lick starts off going back and forth between essentially an E and a D. You're really mainly focusing on the 4th and 3rd strings and going so from 9 to 7. But to get the full meaty tone, right, you want to be barring that to get that E note at the 7th fret, 5th string. And now here's the Keith part. So you're putting your middle finger on the 8th fret 2nd string and your ring finger on the 9th fret 4th string. That is what Keith Richards has made his millions and millions of dollars on. So again, fret, even though he's already playing 3 notes of that D chord at the 7th fret, right, the A shape, he comes down and plays the full to get again the chunk of the power chord. For the word on the street says you might go solo, the first part of the first verse. Even that flourish that starts the song is Keith. Check out my lesson on Happy. I'm not in open G tuning obviously, so this will be a little harder, but it's so again that That little flourish that starts I Need to Know is kind of a Keith Richards thing too. Alright, so that's the main lick. Word on the street says you might go solo. There's a couple of covers, guitar covers of this song on YouTube here. I'm going to link one of them at the end of the lesson. It's a playthrough. It's a young guy just ripping it on a Cherry SG. Huge props to him. So I'll link that at the end so you can see the full playthrough. Neither he nor the other guy that has the cover do one thing that I've seen Mike Campbell do. I watched all the live performances of this song for the Heartbreakers that are here on YouTube, which I highly recommend. There's several great ones. There's one also, amusing one from 2002 they played live on the Today Show, and Katie Couric does an amusing interview with Tom before the performance. But there's points where Mike Campbell plays the riff slightly differently. He, instead of going, he goes, good friend of mine saw you leave him by the back door. Something like that. He actually goes down 2 frets and then goes, which again is very Keithish. So you can play around with that a little bit, but if you don't want to get too fancy, just play it that same way that they do in the intro. Okay. The solo, again, when Chuck, if you read the Tom Petty biography by Warren Zanes, he talks about how when he first met, the first day he met Mike Campbell, Mike was playing Chuck Berry licks, note for note. So he was like, you're hired, right? So the chord progression does switch. It goes to an A. Back to E. So, the solo starts on an A chord. Where do you think Mike Campbell goes? He goes. Something you can do in a solo, whatever chord you're over, it's a rockabilly lick, right? You slide into the root and the fifth, the A and the E of an A major chord. 4th fret to 5th fret. So that's all over the A. Then it switches to an E chord. What does he do? He plays another rock and roll riff. He's bending that D note, 7th fret. That was ugly, but you get the point. 7th fret, 3rd string. Bending it up the equivalent of a full step to an E, and then doing sort of a unison bend where you're playing essentially 2 E's. You're bending that D note up to an E and playing the E note, 5th fret, 2nd string. So he just wails on that, and then back to the over the A, and then back to the E. Briefer this time, because it then quickly shifts to a B, and he goes something along those lines. Again, this is very rough, but over the A, over the E, and then over the B. That's a B note, 4th fret, 3rd string, and then just a standard kind of rock and roll lick, something along those lines. Again, I'm going to link the guy with the SG with the play along. You'll see he rips the solo really nicely. Anyway, that gives you an idea. Some Chuck Berry licks, some rock and roll bands, and then that's it. Enjoy. See you next time. Thank you.